Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the English Podcast Channel. I'm Emma.
And I'm Mike. Today we have a very exciting and useful episode for you. We'll be covering 50 essential English vocabulary words.
That's right. For each word, we'll provide the definition, 2 example sentences, and demonstrate its use in a short conversation.
This will help you understand how to use these words in context and improve your English fluency.
If you find the podcast speed too fast, we encourage you to adjust the playback speed to 0.75x. On mobile, click the gear or settings icon at the top of the video screen. On desktop, you'll find the settings icon at the bottom left corner of the video.
Let's get started.
1. Abate. Definition: to become less intense or widespread. Example sentences. The storm finally began to abate after 3 hours. She waited for her anger to abate before speaking. Here is a short conversation. Did you notice the storm last night? It was so intense.
Yes, but it finally started to abate after a few hours.
I'm glad it did. I was worried it would last all night. 2. Benevolent. Definition: well-meaning and kindly. Example sentences. 1. The benevolent teacher always made time to help her students. 2. His benevolent nature made him a favorite among his friends. Here is a short conversation.
Our new neighbor seems very benevolent.
Yes, she brought cookies for everyone on the block.
That's so kind of her.
3. Candid. Definition: truthful and straightforward. Example sentences. 1. She gave a candid interview about her experiences. 2. His candid feedback helped improve the project. Here is a short conversation. I really appreciated your candid comments on my presentation.
I'm glad it helped. I think honesty is important for improvement.
4. Daunt. Definition: to make someone feel intimidated or apprehensive. Example sentences. 1. The sheer size of the project daunted her. 2. He was not daunted by the challenge ahead. Here's the word in a short conversation.
The thought of giving a speech in front of so many people is daunting.
Don't worry, you'll do great. Just take it one step at a time. 5. Eclectic. Definition: deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. Example sentences. 1. The restaurant's menu was eclectic, offering dishes from various cuisines. 2. Her eclectic taste in music includes jazz, rock, and classical. Conversation: your playlist is so eclectic.
Thanks. I like to mix different genres to keep things interesting.
6. Facilitate. Definition: to make an action or process easier. Example sentences. 1. The new software will facilitate the project management process. 2. Her role is to facilitate communication between the departments. Conversation:
This new tool should facilitate our workflow.
I agree. It will make everything more efficient. 7. Galvanize. Definition: to shock or excite someone into taking action. Example sentences. 1. The news galvanized the community into action. 2. His speech galvanized the crowd to start a movement. Conversation: did you see how the crowd was galvanized by his speech?
Yes, it was incredibly motivating.
8. Harbinger. Definition: a person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Example sentences. 1. The flowers are a harbinger of spring. 2. His arrival was seen as a harbinger of good news. Conversation:
The warm weather is a harbinger of summer.
I can't wait for the long sunny days. 9. Imminent. Definition: about to happen. Example sentences. 1. The storm is imminent, so we should seek shelter. 2. They were in imminent danger of being caught. Conversation: the storm looks imminent. Should we head inside?
Yes, let's go before it starts pouring.
10. Juxtapose. Definition: to place side by side for contrast. Example sentences. 1. The artist juxtaposed light and dark colors to create contrast. 2. The documentary juxtaposes the lives of the rich and the poor. Conversation:
The documentary juxtaposed the lives of 2 different families.
It really highlighted the differences between their experiences. 11. Keen. Definition: having or showing eagerness or enthusiasm. Example sentences. 1. She is a keen student who always asks insightful questions. 2. He has a keen interest in photography. Conversation. I noticed you're very keen on learning new languages.
Yes, I find it fascinating and challenging.
12. Lucid. Definition: expressed clearly, easy to understand. Example sentences. 1. His explanation was so lucid that everyone understood immediately. 2. The book provides a lucid account of the history of the area. Conversation.
Your explanation of the process was very lucid.
Thank you. I always aim to be as clear as possible. 13. Magnanimous. Definition: very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful. Example sentences. 1. He was magnanimous in victory, showing respect to his opponent. 2. Her magnanimous gesture won her many friends. Conversation. I was impressed by how magnanimous he was after winning the match.
Yes, he really showed great sportsmanship.
14. Nefarious. Definition: wicked or criminal. Example sentences. 1. The villain's nefarious plan was thwarted by the hero. 2. They uncovered a nefarious scheme to defraud the company. Conversation.
The detective uncovered the criminal's nefarious activities.
It's amazing how they piece everything together to catch the bad guys. 15. Obfuscate. Definition: to render obscure, unclear, or unintelligible. Example sentences. 1. The politician tried to obfuscate the issue with complex jargon. 2. His lengthy explanation only served to obfuscate the facts. Conversation. The instructions were so complicated, they just obfuscated the process.
I know, it was really confusing.
16. Paragon. Definition: a person or thing regarded as a perfect example of a particular quality. Example sentences. 1. She is a paragon of patience. 2. His work is often seen as a paragon of excellence. Conversation.
She's considered a paragon of virtue in our community.
Indeed, she always acts with such kindness and integrity. 17. Quintessential. Definition: representing the most perfect or typical example of a quality or class. Example sentences. 1. This dish is the quintessential Italian meal. 2. He is the quintessential gentleman, always polite and considerate. Conversation. That painting is the quintessential example of his work.
Yes, it captures his style perfectly.
18. Rebuke. Definition: to express sharp disapproval or criticism. Example sentences. 1. The manager did not hesitate to rebuke the employee for being late. 2. She received a stern rebuke for her behavior. Conversation.
The teacher's rebuke was quite harsh.
Well, he did break the rules repeatedly. 19. Sagacious. Definition: having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment. Example sentences. 1. Her sagacious advice helped him navigate the tricky situation. 2. He is known for being a sagacious leader. Conversation. Her sagacious decisions have always guided the company well.
Yes, her judgment is rarely off the mark.
20. Tenacious. Definition: tending to keep a firm hold of something. Persistent. Example sentences. 1. The tenacious detective never gave up on the case. 2. Her tenacious spirit helped her overcome many challenges. Conversation.
His tenacious attitude is what led to his success.
Absolutely, he never gives up. 21. Ubiquitous. Definition: present, appearing, or found everywhere. Example sentences. 1. Smartphones have become ubiquitous in our daily lives. 2. The company's logo is ubiquitous in the city. Conversation. It seems like those new cafes are ubiquitous now.
Yes, they've opened up everywhere.
22. Voracious. Definition: wanting or devouring great quantities of food, having a very eager approach to an activity. Example sentences. 1. He has a voracious appetite after his workout. 2. She is a voracious reader, finishing several books a month. Conversation. I've noticed you're a voracious reader.
Yes, I love diving into new books whenever I can.
23. Wane. Definition: to decrease in size, extent, or degree. Example sentences. 1. The interest in the project began to wane after a few months. 2. As the moon waned, the night grew darker. Conversation.
It seems like the excitement about the event is starting to wane.
Yes, maybe we should plan something new to reignite interest. 24. Xenophile. Definition: a person who is attracted to foreign peoples, cultures, or customs. Example sentences. 1. As a xenophile, she loves traveling to new countries and experiencing different cultures. 2. His xenophile tendencies have led him to learn several languages. Conversation. You're such a xenophile, always exploring new cultures.
Yes, I find it fascinating to learn about different ways of life.
25. Yield. Definition: to produce or provide, to give way to arguments, demands, or pressure. Example sentences. 1. The experiment yielded some interesting results. 2. He refused to yield to their demands. Conversation.
The new method has yielded better results than we expected.
That's great news. We should continue using it. 26. Zealous. Definition: having or showing great energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of a cause or objective. Example sentences. 1. The volunteers were zealous in their efforts to clean up the park. 2. His zealous support for the charity inspired many others to contribute. Conversation. The team's zealous approach really made a difference.
Yes, their enthusiasm was contagious.
27. Acumen. Definition: the ability to make good judgments and quick decisions, typically in a particular domain. Example sentences. 1. Her business acumen led the company to success. 2. His political acumen was evident in the way he handled the crisis. Conversation.
Her acumen in business is truly impressive.
Yes, she always knows the right moves to make. 28. Brevity. Definition: concise and exact use of words in writing or speech. Example sentences. 1. The brevity of his speech was appreciated by everyone. 2. She is known for her brevity in emails. Conversation. I appreciate the brevity of your report. It gets straight to the point.
Thanks, I believe in keeping things concise.
29. Cajole. Definition: to persuade someone to do something by sustained coaxing or flattery. Example sentences. 1. She managed to cajole him into going to the party. 2. He tried to cajole his parents into buying him a car. Conversation.
She always finds a way to cajole her friends into doing things.
Yes, she's very persuasive. 30. Debunk. Definition: to expose the falseness or hollowness of a myth, idea, or belief. Example sentences. 1. The scientist debunked the myth with solid evidence. 2. His article aims to debunk common misconceptions about dieting. Conversation. That documentary really debunked a lot of myths about space travel.
It was fascinating to see the truth behind the misconceptions.
31. Eloquent. Definition: fluent or persuasive in speaking or writing. Example sentences. 1. Her speech was both eloquent and inspiring. 2. He is known for his eloquent arguments in court. Conversation.
Your presentation was so eloquent. Everyone was impressed. Thank you. I worked hard on making it persuasive and clear.
32. Frugal. Definition: sparing or economical with regard to money or food. Example sentences. 1. They lived a frugal life, saving as much as they could. 2. His frugal habits helped him save a lot of money. Conversation. You've always been frugal with your spending.
Yes, I believe in saving for the future.
33. Gratuitous. Definition: uncalled for, lacking good reason, unwarranted. Example sentences. 1. The movie was criticized for its gratuitous violence. 2. His comments were completely gratuitous and unnecessary. Conversation.
I felt that the scene in the movie was a bit gratuitous.
I agree, it didn't add anything to the plot. 34. Hinder. Definition. To create difficulties for someone or something, resulting in delay or obstruction. Example sentences. 1. The storm hindered their progress. 2. His injury may hinder his ability to play in the match. Conversation. The heavy rain is likely to hinder our travel plans.
We might need to leave earlier to avoid delays.
35. Iconoclast. Definition. A person who attacks or criticizes cherished beliefs or institutions. Example sentences. 1. He was considered an iconoclast for his radical ideas. 2. The artist's work was iconoclastic, challenging traditional norms. Conversation.
His iconoclastic views often cause controversy.
Yes, but they also spark interesting discussions. 36. Jubilant. Definition. Feeling or expressing great happiness and triumph. Example sentences. 1. The team was jubilant after winning the championship. 2. She was jubilant when she received the news. Conversation. The crowd was jubilant after the final goal.
It was an incredible moment of celebration.
37. Kudos. Definition. Praise and honor received for an achievement. Example sentences. 1. She received kudos for her outstanding performance. 2. Kudos to everyone who helped make the event a success. Conversation.
Kudos to you for organizing such a great event.
Thank you. It was a team effort. 38. Lament. Definition. To express sorrow, regret, or unhappiness about something. Example sentences. 1. They lamented the passing of an era. 2. He lamented his decision to leave the company. Conversation. He seemed to lament his choice after seeing the results. Yes, he was quite regretful about it. 39. Mundane. Definition. Lacking interest or excitement. Dull. Example sentences. 1. She longed to escape her mundane routine. 2. The job involved many mundane tasks. Conversation. I find some aspects of my job quite mundane. Maybe you can look for ways to make it more interesting. 40. Nostalgia. Definition. A sentimental longing for the past. Example sentences. 1. He was filled with nostalgia as he looked through old photos. 2. The film evoked a strong sense of nostalgia. Conversation. Listening to that song always fills me with nostalgia.
I know what you mean. It brings back so many memories.
41. Opaque. Definition. Not able to be seen through, not transparent. Example sentences. 1. The windows were opaque with grime. 2. His explanations were opaque and hard to follow. Conversation.
The glass was so opaque, I couldn't see through it.
Maybe we should clean it to make it clearer. 42. Pragmatic. Definition. Dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. Example sentences. 1. She took a pragmatic approach to solving the problem. 2. His decisions are always pragmatic and well thought out. Conversation. I appreciate your pragmatic view on the situation.
Thanks, I try to be practical and realistic.
43. Quaint. Definition. Attractively unusual or old-fashioned. Example sentences. 1. The village was full of quaint little cottages. 2. She lives in a quaint old house on the outskirts of town. Conversation.
Your house is so quaint and charming.
Thank you. I love its old-fashioned appeal. 44. Resilient. Definition. Able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Example sentences. 1. The community was resilient in the face of the disaster. 2. Her resilient spirit helped her overcome many obstacles. Conversation. I've always admired how resilient you are during tough times.
Thanks, I believe in bouncing back stronger.
45. Sublime. Definition: of such excellence, grandeur, or beauty as to inspire great admiration or awe. Example sentences. 1. The view from the top of the mountain was sublime. 2. Her performance was simply sublime. Conversation.
The sunset last night was absolutely sublime.
Yes, it was breathtaking. 46. Tedious. Definition: too long, slow, or dull, tiresome, or monotonous. Example sentences. 1. The lecture was so tedious that many students fell asleep. 2. Filling out the forms was a tedious process. Conversation. That meeting was quite tedious, wasn't it?
Yes, it dragged on forever.
47. Uplift. Definition: to raise someone morally or spiritually. Example sentences. 1. Her kind words uplifted his spirits. 2. The community service project aimed to uplift the residents. Conversation.
Your encouragement really uplifted me today.
I'm glad to hear that. We all need a little uplift sometimes. 48. Venerate. Definition: to regard with great respect, revere. Example sentences. 1. They venerate their ancestors with annual ceremonies. 2. The professor is venerated for his extensive research in the field. Conversation. Many people venerate her for her contributions to science.
She truly deserves all the respect she gets.
49. Wistful. Definition: having or showing a feeling of vague or regretful longing. Example sentences. 1. She gave a wistful smile as she remembered her childhood. 2. He looked at the old house with wistful eyes. Conversation.
She seemed a bit wistful at the reunion.
Yes, I think it brought back a lot of memories for her. 50. Yearn. Definition: to have an intense feeling of longing for something, typically something that one has lost or been separated from. Example sentences. 1. He yearned for the days of his youth. 2. She yearned to see her family again after years abroad. Conversation. I could tell he yearned to return home.
It's hard to be away from loved ones for so long.
That wraps up today's episode on English vocabulary. We hope you found it helpful and enjoyable.
Remember, the key to mastering vocabulary is practice. Try to use these words in your daily conversations and writing.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye for now.